Hello and welcome back to our podcast, The Boss Ravioli Queens. So we're still trying those neat intros. Hopefully they'll work really good. We've done it on the last few episodes, so you need to tell us what you think.
Please. Our life literally depends on this.
We're literally begging you.
Well, this episode is called Adulting is Hard. We will be talking about, honestly, things in normal, everyday adult life and the struggles that come with it, basically.
Yeah, because this shit's hard.
It is.
So, bite the pillow because it's gonna be rough.
So I guess getting into it, let's talk about the housing market and rentals. Because, my God, it is so bad right now. So a lot of millennials were, praised early on in our adulthood for buying homes because there's a lot of apartment complexes and places that don't accept pets. So people were, buying houses because they had dogs or cats or what have you, It's not so easy to do that now. The market has totally tanked. And not only that, but rent and mortgage prices have skyrocketed.
Mm-hmm.
So for a studio apartment in a nice area sometimes can cost $900. That's ridiculous. You don't even have a full apartment. You literally have a living room and bedroom in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
And then a little baby ass kitchenette. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's $900? And you don't even get to do what you want with the place. You don't get to paint the walls. You don't have to get
Right.
or you don't get to have a pet.
But I mean, it's the same with homes now, too, because, everything's so expensive nowadays, or whatever, a small, 1-bedroom, maybe even 2-bedroom home is gonna go for, way more money than it used to. You could...
$300,000.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not even, renovated or anything.
No.
It's, just a basic house.
Yeah, and it, still needs, maybe probably
new paint,
some
new
work
flooring,
done. Yeah.
Literally ridiculous.
If I'm paying that much for a home, I expect, all new appliances, new flooring,
Right.
fresh paint, the whole 9 yards. No thank you.
Right. It's just basically robbing you.
At that point, you're better off living on a cloud.
Or in a cardboard box. The homeless have the right idea.
Oh, God, yeah.
You
Honestly, living out of, your car or, a camper or something really doesn't seem that bad right now.
It really doesn't.
There's a lot of people...
Honestly, I can't even afford that. If I could afford that, I probably would have already bought,
Right,
a camper and just left.
Yes.
There's
Then I could have
TikTokers who have gotten famous from that. Not the ones who, travel for a living, but the ones who are, homeless and literally document their journey being homeless, and they have full-time jobs, and then they just pocket all their money.
Oh, also the things that I hear about people when they're oh, you can buy one of those sheds for cheap and turn it into a tiny home. I think that's always so funny. I'm yes, you can buy the shed itself for cheap, but then you have to pay to get everything renovated on the inside,
and
so
if
it's
you do
a home.
It yourself, it's
and then,
still expensive.
Yeah, and then you have to pay for all the plumbing to be hooked up, all the electric to be hooked up. You have to pay for the lot that you're putting it on.
Well, not only
so
that,
in reality, this tiny home that that you bought as a shed originally for what, I don't know, $12,000 or whatever, you're still spending probably $300,000 to $400,000 on it because they have to put foundation and everything wherever you put it.
Well, right, and not only that, but you also have to pay to make sure that the city that you're living in, it has all the things that they require, and that they can classify it as a home.
Yeah.
Right, it has to be, everything's got to be, way up to code.
Right,
not
exactly.
anything out of place, not any... If
Yeah.
they find one little thing wrong with it, they could just deem it not
and then
livable.
technically you're not living in a home, you're living in a shed, and then you can get citations for it and fines and all this stuff.
Also, I have heard about people buying those shipping containers, the train shipping containers, and making homes out of those.
I'm sorry, but that looks so cool, though.
I know.
It
looks freaking
so
amazing.
So fun fact, I've actually looked this up because I wasn't sure if it was true or not. You can buy those on Amazon. They're $40,000.
Okay, and I know I saw somewhere, I don't remember where it is, but there's actually like an Airbnb where they made it out of the shipping containers, and you can like go rent and stay there. And
They're
I was like, I want to go.
They're like ready-made on Amazon. Like they ship it to you, and then you have it like, it's basically like a pop-up house.
It's actually smart though, because it's a shipping container, so it's easier to move than like if it's those I don't know what they're called, but the one, you know, where they move like the house in sections, where they have like pieces of the house split up, and then they move it, and then they piece it back together where when it gets to its destination.
Oh, that's what I want. That's what I want to do.
Really?
I want I forget the name of it.
I can't remember. It's like you're basically building your own stuff. Like you get to pick and choose exactly like what you get in your
exactly. Man-made housing is basically, it's the concept where like your whole house is made in a warehouse. It's made like basically in a factory with a bunch of contractors, and then it's like much quicker, it's much cheaper, and then once all the pieces to your house are finished, it gets shipped to the land that you're putting it on, and then you have somebody literally put the pieces together.
It's almost like kind of like a dollhouse, like if you would fold open a dollhouse and make it smaller and stuff. It's kind of interesting.
Manufactured housing.
That's what it is.
That's
manufactured houses.
Yes. And they're kind of like trailers, but like they're actual houses, and they're super cool. I think you can build your dream home for like $100,000. Like basically get anything you want custom.
Yeah, I think it depends, but the house itself is what's the more affordable part, and then like you gotta think it's the property, really. And then when they have to do all the hooking up stuff.
Right, the hooking up and also the pouring of the foundation. Yep. That's the expensive part, really.
Well, I would like a manufactured home.
That's what I want. Seriously,
yeah, I thought that'd be cool. I actually went to look at them once or whatever because they like had some staging areas near me, so it was like nice to like just look at them and see like what they could be, and then it like shows you all the different options that you can have.
So the poopy thing with those is, so I've actually like called around to different banks and stuff. Not after I moved, this was before I moved, so maybe it's different. But I was told that a lot of banks actually don't touch those loans because they're similar to cars and they actually go down in value after you purchase them versus like a traditional stick-built house where the longer you own it, the more it goes up in value. Why, I don't really know, but I feel like at some point those are going to become the housing
Honestly,
of the future.
I feel like that's not quite the case anymore because I feel like the value of homes like depreciates a lot unless you're like
keeping up with it.
Everything. So it's like stuff starts getting run down and you're like, oh well, we can renovate this room now, and that would like have your value go up, you know. But
I agree. Well, I feel like eventually that's going to change. I feel like within the next however many years, like how we do housing is going to change completely. I feel like manufactured homes truly are the housing of the future because they're so much cheaper, and eventually we're going to get to a point where nobody's going to be able to afford traditional stick-built homes anymore.
No. I feel like housing is going to get a lot more creative, honestly.
I think that like the process with like what we were just talking about with like the shipping containers and like basically pop-up homes, like I know that there's already a lot of communities being built for the homeless populations in like those local areas. I feel like eventually those are going to start popping up everywhere.
Honestly, if I could afford it, I would definitely want one of those like crazy like homes that nobody would think of.
I want a Hobbit home.
Mm-hmm.
Hobbit home.
I want a home. I want to just take like 4 sheds and just like put them together. Find a way to get them all together, hook everything up, call it a day.
I want my own community with just my friends.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Private neighborhood.
Yeah.
I would live for that.
Right.
I would live for that. Like, no one from the outside is allowed in unless we allow them.
Gated community.
Yes.
Basically.
We all get a code.
Oh.
And no, you can't have it. You can't sit with us.
On Wednesdays we wear pink.
I was just gonna say it! Oh my gosh. Anyways, so not only has the housing market gone drastically to shit, but also the price, like the cost of living in general is just crap right now.
And it's not even just living, it's like the cost of everything.
So
Yep.
I'm surprised they don't charge us to breathe.
Right. So, like...
I swear they will.
Groceries, though, and, like, gas prices and everything is just skyrocketed. And it's like, how are we supposed to exist anymore?
Right. For real.
Well, actually, if you want us to just exist, that's fine. But, like, we're all gonna die because we're not gonna be, like, eating and drinking and working. You know, we're just gonna, like, lay there and exist.
Right. I mean, I guess you could say we all exist now.
I mean, some days that sounds nice.
Right.
I know.
Let me just lay here.
Yeah,
Just
but
let
with no
me be.
food
Yeah.
and no drinks. Just, like...
Oh, that sounds miserable.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like...
I'm like
That's-
SpongeBob. I can
that's
filter
existing.
feed.
Are you porous?
I do have pores.
Oh my god. But yeah, it's super ridiculous that we're expected to pay all these prices with no, like, wage increases and all that stuff. Like, inflation is a thing, but increased wages are a thing too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I truly feel like none of this stuff is going to change without, like, an uprising of our generation. Every generation has one. I'm just waiting for ours.
I know.
And I kind of feel bad because, I mean, like, with the inflation or whatever, at the same time, it's, like, basically screwing over companies. Because it's like, yes, your employees deserve more wages because of the inflation and stuff, but, like, also, like, there's some companies that, like, cannot afford that.
Right. Also, because of
Like,
inflation,
would
they
literally
can't afford
have-
to pay them
Right,
more.
they would literally have to go, like, bankrupt to,
Like,
like,
it's a
afford
double-edged
to
sword.
pay their employees what they deserve.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
And still be able to turn a profit. Like,
right.
Right.
Well, and that's the thing is that most companies, they wouldn't really be able to turn a profit. All they would really be doing would be breaking even.
right.
And they're not going to make any money that way.
No.
Right. And honestly, I feel like this is just more, like, to keep the rich rich and, like, to really, really, really concrete separate the rich from the poor.
Oh, always. That's been an existing theme in humanity since forever.
I know, but now it's, like, more prevalent than ever.
Right. Which is kind of crazy to me because, like, I feel like right now in this day and age, it feels like it's being hidden more than ever, even though it's, like, very blatantly obvious. But, like, they're trying so hard to make it seem like it's not that way.
Well, we also have, like, the generational curses, too. Like, oh, you're just supposed to work your life away. So you're not supposed to have fun. You're just supposed to provide for yourself. And, like...
Yeah, and then you might be able to enjoy yourself after you're 65.
Right.
Maybe.
Like, I want to live now. I want to experience life while I'm young, while I can remember it, while I
But-
can make memories, you
But
know?
honestly, like, day and age is, like, so bad or whatever, it, like, literally pains me when I go to a store or something and I see, like, between 70 to 80-year-old, like, woman or man or whatever still working, like, a full-ass time job.
Mhm.
Seriously?
It breaks my heart.
Because they can't afford to live.
Honestly, my mom, like, she's kind of terrified that she's not even going to be able to retire.
That's a very real fear that I think a lot of us should have.
I do have that fear.
Like,
I have the fear that I'm going to die while I'm still working.
it's a possibility.
Yeah. I'm
Unless
probably
something
gonna die
changes.
working, honestly.
It's literally that possibility is getting more and more real, like, with each day that passes, and I hate it.
Well, right. And, like, the last generation, I mean, they're still around. They're still going to be around for a while. And they're the ones that unfortunately made a lot of these rules for us, quote unquote. So we're kind of just, like, waiting now.
Yeah.
Also, I know it's not, like, super great everywhere else, but I feel like the U.S. is mainly, like, the only one with this big of a problem. Because I remember in high school, like, in Spain, they literally get to take, like, an hour or two long lunch to go and spend with their families. Like, the kids get out of school for lunch, too.
Oh,
and then,
siestas?
yes, and then they
Yes.
go back. Like, why is that not a
Siesta
thing?
time.
Right.
I
Or like in Canada with like the healthcare and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep, I totally agree. I feel like it's because the U.S. is very much like a pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of mentality.
Very
That they
much.
think that's sort of like, oh, handouts for the government or like breaks from the government, that makes you like a sissy.
I don't know, which is kind of messed
Like,
up
just
because
work
they
through
literally like They literally, like, branded themselves as, like, the best place in the world to be, and it's not. It just isn't.
Well, it's like the American dream.
Right.
What
Right.
everybody wants. Like, there are literally immigrants that come here the legal way, and it's not anything like what they
No.
tell people in other countries.
And
Like,
they literally do it or whatever for, like, better opportunities, better jobs and stuff or whatever, and in reality, it's not. It's just money, money, money.
Exactly. Well, I think that a lot of countries, or like especially immigrants from other places, like, you know, they've been told stories that have been handed down generation to generation. Like, they're still believing that old, I wouldn't say lie, but for lack of a better word, lie. And like, they get here and they realize that maybe it's just changed, or maybe, like, you know, when people tell stories, things change.
I mean, it's not, like, all bad, because, I mean, technically there is, like, opportunities and stuff. You're like, there's so many, like, different things you can do, or, like, different colleges, like, really pristine colleges and stuff. The problem with it is, and, like, great places to work, but, like, the problem with it is it's, like, so expensive, or at this point or whatever, it doesn't pay enough.
Right. Well, like, so college, for example, like, back in the 70s, what people pay for a semester of college now is what people were paying for their entirety of their 4-year education.
Yep.
Like,
And not only that, but if you go to college, a lot of places won't even hire you right out of college because you need experience.
right,
Yeah,
you need
they
experience.
won't.
Exactly.
Make it
It's
make
like-
sense, because that
it-
math doesn't math
Like,
either.
I literally went to school to study this specific thing for, like, 4+ years, and you still won't even give me an opportunity to work in the profession that I worked really hard to educate
Right, or
Exactly.
like they
myself
make
in.
you do an unpaid apprenticeship, which is like so dumb.
Internships and apprenticeships are literally just a way to, like,
Free labor.
legally get free labor. And there's nothing wrong with it.
I have a friend right now that, like, she spent 5 years in college for, like, law enforcement and stuff, and she didn't even need her degree to get the job she has now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I have another friend who worked really hard on, like, a whole therapy degree, 5 years of schooling or whatever, and she like did a few internships or whatever for, like, LGBT communities and stuff or whatever, and she still can't find a place to work.
So that's the way you squash the American dream.
Yeah, literally, like, it's hard. It's like, at this point or whatever, especially in this day and age or whatever, I feel like college is very pointless.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Like, I wouldn't say that,
I
like,
mean, the
you shouldn't
educa-
come here or anything,
Right, like-
but
I mean, the education is a good idea, but to, like, have it, but
I feel like to immigrants that are thinking about coming here, it should be, like, standard practice to let them know, like, what it's actually like, and
Mhm.
maybe they can ask themselves, do I really want to go there?
Yeah, I agree. Or, you know, we could just be like the rest of the world and do free college and free healthcare.
And for
Honestly,
like everything else,
yeah,
just be
like-
better in general.
honestly, the whole idea or whatever, I don't know, personally to me, for, like, an American dream would be stuff that's affordable. Like, the necessities should be affordable, if not free.
Also, like feminine products, because we didn't ask to menstruate.
Literally.
Feminine products
Like,
should
I
be
feel
free.
like that should be covered by insurance or something.
Facts. And
I
on
think
top
most
of that,
countries do that.
on top of that, though, like
I think
feminine
so.
products, most of them aren't even like okay to use for your body.
Good God, the hospitals here don't even give you, like, take home. Like, you can literally go after a surgery and they'll be just like, oh, you should cover it in gauze and stuff, and they won't give you any of
Yeah.
that.
Oh, you can
Yeah.
pick that up at.
Yeah, you can pick that
At
up
the
at, like, the
pharmacy.
store or the pharmacy or, like, Walgreens or, like, Walmart
Whatever.
or whatever.
CVS,
Yeah.
whatever.
Any drugstore.
Yeah, and I'm like, you can't provide me with a week's worth of supplies for the surgery you just charged me $20,000 for?
That's
Right.
like when I had my carpal tunnel surgery. They gave me like 2 of those plastic sleeves and said that I wasn't supposed to get my wrap and my gauze and everything wet. Excuse me? What happens if like I get a tear in the stupid glove thing or the wrap that you're supposed to put? I don't know. It's like
I know what you're talking about.
yeah, it's dumb though. Like how am I supposed to survive like 3 weeks on 2 sleeves?
So dumb.
Unless
I
you
even
only want me to shower twice.
well, I even heard a story on.
In 3 weeks.
I think
In 3 weeks.
Ew.
I think I watched it on TikTok where this guy like hurt himself, went in or whatever. They gave him stitches and everything, and then they basically told him at like the urgent care that like, oh yeah, just come back or whatever, and then we'll take the stitches out. We won't charge you for it or anything. And blah 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 blah. Well, he came back to get the stitches out or whatever at urgent care. Like they told him, and they're like, no, you have to go to ER to do that.
Oh, that
And
would
then-
piss me the fuck
Yep,
off.
and then they were gonna charge him for it to take the stitches out or whatever.
You know what? I'm just going to start recording all my conversations.
Right. Luckily or whatever, he got a nice nurse or whatever that came out or whatever and just stole one of like the stitch removal kits or whatever, and he's handed it to him and he's like, you'd be better off doing it at home. And so
my
he went
gosh.
home and he like took his stitches out himself.
Bro.
Where's his paycheck?
Right. Yeah, should have paid him for his time.
Literally.
Oh my God.
Did you guys hear about the one? This was a while ago now, probably.
It's like,
couple
honestly,
years ago.
if the government can charge us for everything, can we charge them for wasting our time?
Right.
Facts.
Did you hear about the one where there was this couple who they delivered their baby and the hospital literally charged them $40. Literally $40 for the dad to hold his newborn baby after the mom had just delivered. Like, the doctor took the baby out, handed it to dad, and they got charged $40 for dad to hold his kid.
Negative.
What?
This happened like a while ago. I think this was maybe like 2017, something like that.
Okay, but absolutely not.
Yeah, literally $40 to hold their baby that when they go home, they're going to be holding for free for a long time.
Oh my god.
Like, I've heard so many stories of like people who had like appendicitis and drove themselves to the hospital.
I
Like,
did.
just... Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
That is
Does that
so
not surprise
dangerous.
me?
I thought it was like a bad stomach ache or whatever until I like felt over here and I was like, and then I got to the hospital and he pushed on like that part of my stomach or whatever and he's like, yeah, you need an emergency appendectomy or whatever. I was about to rupture.
That's so dangerous.
And I drove myself. I was at work, and I drove myself from work to the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
And then after my surgery, I drove myself home.
Oh
Jasmine!
Shit's expensive.
It's true though.
It is
And
true.
like, you're literally risking your life to save money. Like, it's crazy. I worked at a place, so I wasn't here when this happened, but I heard the story from the staff. I worked at a place where a lady literally died because she was actually having a heart attack, but at the time the staff didn't know that, and the director like wouldn't let her go home to go to the hospital because she was having chest and arm pain. And so she wouldn't let her go home and made her finish out her shift. So she went to the hospital after her shift was over, got admitted, and then within like a day or so she passed away.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I hope the family took out a lawsuit.
I don't know.
I really
I'm
do.
not really sure because that happened before I started there, but I heard about it. And like, it's just crazy. Like, it's just, these are the things that happen in the US. Like, this is insane.
And also, like, employers need to just do better in general because we are literally there working for you, and as long as we're good employees, we shouldn't be getting crapped on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
For real.
Which is also part of adulting, is getting crapped on all the time. Like, 99% of the time.
Yeah,
And you just have to deal with it.
Literally and figuratively.
You just have to roll with the punches.
Honestly, you might as well just put a toilet seat on your face.
Literally.
I
It
now
is
identify
true.
as a toilet.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's too much though,
That
because...
is too much.
And honestly, I think I've brought this up before, maybe not in an episode, but I know I've talked to you guys about it, but like, being single-staffed anywhere, so dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So dangerous. Like, why? Why? What if something happens to me or my coworker?
Right.
Like, if they're in a house with nonverbal residents,
Mm-hmm.
who's gonna call 911?
I had a staff member call in because she had literally just had open heart surgery, and she was told by her surgeon that one of the things that might happen after her surgery during her like recovery process was that if she didn't get adequate sleep, she put herself at risk for a heart attack.
The fact that they didn't automatically give her off for a while after open heart surgery is kind of fucked up.
She had off for like, it was like 6 weeks, I think.
Okay, fair.
Which is still like, I don't know, I feel like
But
should've
still
been
open
more.
heart surgery.
Yeah, it was literal open heart surgery. But anyway, so there was like a day where she couldn't sleep and she worked knock shift.
Mhm.
So she called me and she was like, I'm still going to try and take a nap and come in, but she was like, I just don't want to have a heart attack at work. And I'm like, absolutely not. I was like, you will not be in. And I was like, why are you worried about having a heart attack at work? And she was so like concerned about what if the residents find me? Like, I just don't know what I would do. Like, I don't want to leave the residents alone. And I was like, okay, but I don't want to like come in and find you dead. So like, we're
Right.
not doing that.
Okay,
Like,
but facts on that is true caregiver mentality, though.
right.
It is.
Like, we worry
Those
more
are the
about
good-
others than ourselves
Those
all the
are
time.
the good caregivers.
Yeah, and I just remember her daughter like screaming in the background. She's like, "No, Mom, you will not be at work." And she was like, "Well, maybe I could." And I'm like, "No. You're staying home. I will figure it out. Goodbye."
For real.
Mm-mm. And like it made me sad because first off, this lady was like way older. She was like in her 80s. She could run circles around staff that were in their 20s. Like,
It's because the ones in their 20s are lazy.
Not all, but most.
right. And so like it made me sad because A, she was still working and she still had to work, and B, she had this mentality that was probably ingrained in her for a very long time that like, oh, I just don't know what's going to happen to the residents, when like in reality you should be thinking about yourself. Like, no, of course I don't want you to have a heart attack.
Right.
Like, good God.
So, I think it's safe to say we can kind of wrap it up there, because I'm pretty sure we've talked about pretty much everything that we possibly can on this topic.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think at this point,
The world's expensive.
the world is expensive, adulting's hard,
Get
being
cheaper.
a nice human.
Somebody give me a coupon for the world.
I will
Okay.
take one
I-
yike, please.
I will take one Earth coupon, please.
Okay. Where can the peeps find us?
We are Boss Ravioli Queens, at Boss Ravioli Queens, on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, also Gmail, but you obviously don't really need the @ symbol until you get to @Gmail.
Pretty much.
Give us your feedback. Tell us your likes, dislikes, what we can improve on. Let us know.
Oh,
Questions,
also YouTube.
comments, concerns.
Forgot
We
about
love
YouTube.
to chat. Talk to us. We want friends.
YouTube.
Until next time, y'all. Bye.
Bye.